Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. A couple days ago, Joey Graceffa posted a video on his channel called Dealing with an Alcoholic Parent. Since he's posted that video, I have received, countless messages on social media, as well as, email messages, people begging me to reach out to Joey and send him some encouragement, send him some words of wisdom, tell him what I've gone through and things like that. And I was really hesitant to do that. And let me tell you why. First of all, Joey Graceffa doesn't know who I am. So I didn't want to seem, as if it was coming off as disingenuous to reach out to him. I was really hesitant to make a response video, which a lot of people suggested. And my fear of doing that was that I didn't want people to accuse me of doing this video for the views. But the more I started thinking about it, and after watching his video more than once, I thought, you know what, if I do this video and if my experience of what I've gone through can even help just one person, then maybe give somebody some hope. Maybe there is a purpose for me to do this video. So I thought, screw it. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna do this video. I don't know if he'll ever see it. I don't know who will see it. I hope somebody out there sees it and goes, yes, I relate to that story. Thank you. I can walk away and have a little bit of hope in my heart. So if you guys don't know what his video is about, he talks a lot in there about growing up with an alcoholic parent, his mother, and how when he was growing up, he dealt a lot with it. He talked about it in his first book that he wrote, which I read. And then he talked about it in some videos a couple years ago. He talked about continuing to receive messages from her where she's asking for money and she's asking for help and she wants to come visit him and all this kind of stuff. And it was interesting watching the video because the first time that I watched it, it was so relatable to me, and the reason why is A, I got sober when I was 22, B, I grew up with an alcoholic parent, my mother, and C, my mother got sober 6 months after I did. And so I was sitting there watching it, and it's interesting if you haven't gone through that and you don't relate to what he's saying, you probably wouldn't get the same response that I did or somebody else that's gone through a similar situation would. I think maybe you would be like, this is really sad. I feel really bad that he's going through this situation. It must be overwhelming. For somebody that has gone through it and you watch it, you're like, yes, oh my God, I totally relate to that, right? And what was so hard for me to watch is that you see Joey, who comes across is so confident in his videos and so sure of himself. And in watching this video, I really saw this little boy that had been very hurt and very injured by an alcoholic parent, but at the same time, very protective of her. And that was exactly how I was with my mom, Behind the scenes, it was horrific. It was terrifying. I never knew what mom I was going to walk into. I didn't know if I would walk into mom that wanted to play games and had chocolate chip cookies made and dinner on the table and wanted to tuck me in and her breath had no alcohol smell on it, or I didn't know if I would walk into mom being in bed for 3 days, not getting out of bed for 3 days, screaming at me when I walked in the room, and then the next day followed up by 10,000 apologies. Or me coming home and being met by a family friend that said you're going to come and stay with us for a day or two, and I wouldn't know why that happened, on and on and on. And it was terrifying to me to grow up with that and never know where I was gonna be. And the thing that was so hard is that when my mother wasn't drinking, she was an absolutely amazing, wise, beautiful person, and she was the best mom in the entire world. But it was hard for me to forget those moments when she wasn't that person. And as I got older, the alcoholism really kicked in more than it did the good times. So the bad times more outweighed the good times. And over time, I started kind of not caring as much, and I started thinking to myself, I've got to just get out. I've got to take care of myself and get out. And I know Joey has one sister, so he has a very small family. I'm an only child. So there was also this huge obligation that I felt in taking care of my mom, especially as being the son, which I have a feeling he probably relates to that as well. That it's like, oh my God, it's my duty to take care of my mom. I can't let her take care of herself. What if something happens to her? It's constantly this fear. And one of the things that he mentions in this video is that it's a role reversal, that he's the parent and she's the child. And I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to through the years that have gone through the exact same situation that I have that he has that said the exact same thing. And I can remember being 15 years old and like pouring alcohol down the drain and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and then getting screamed at for it, and me thinking, I'm the parent, like I should be the one getting busted for this stuff, and you yelling at me. And instead, I'm like making sure you're in bed, tucked in for the night, safe, you know, nothing that you're gonna hurt yourself in. And it was so scary to me the whole time that I was growing up. And the one thing that I kept on seeing when I was watching this video, I saw this more the more I watched it, was that he just really so bad just wants a mom, you know? He just, I think, really so bad just wants a mom that knows how to behave well and take care of herself and be independent. And I don't think that's really a lot to ask for in life, you know? And it's hard because, like, even me saying that right now, I feel like if I say I really just always wanted a mom who took care of herself and was independent and sobered up, and I didn't have to worry about the alcohol. At the same time, like, I feel like I'm betraying my mom by not telling you all the good things that she did, as, you know, the wonderful Christmases that I had, and, you know, all this, and the dinners on the table. I mean, I feel like I'm betraying that, right? And one of the things that my mom used to always say to me is, when you're talking about me to people and telling them what a horrible drinker I am, she would always say this to me, like when we would get into a fight over her drinking. She'd say, when you're out there talking to people and telling them what an awful drinker I am, remember that I always, you know, like, made sure I was here for you, and make sure that they don't think that I'm somebody sitting on the, you know, corner of the street just drinking out of a bag, and I never brought men home. I was always a good mom. And like, that's all fine and well, and those things are absolutely true statements, but for me, the fear that I felt in my heart, to some degree, she might as well have been sitting on a, you know, the corner street, drinking out of a bottle, bringing men home left and right, because I don't know that it would have really made any difference to me. The fear would have been the same. The preparation that I had to have in my heart as a child taking care of myself felt the same. It was absolutely terrifying. And he talks in there, and he says something about alcoholism being a disease, and I can kind of tell in watching the video that he really struggles with that. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. And, you know, as a person that does not drink and sober, I firmly believe that alcoholism is a disease. You know, it's been declared by the American Medical Association as being a disease. It has the same signs and symptoms as other diseases. It's fatal, it's progressive, it has identifiable signs and symptoms, it's treatable, things like that. Whether you believe it's a disease or not is not really the point. What's undeniable is that it absolutely affects friends and family around you, okay? It absolutely 100% damages children's lives, okay? Whether you're sitting on the couch drinking a bottle of wine, watching Real Housewives, you know, of Beverly Hills, and your kids are upstairs reading a book in their room because they don't feel like they can sit down next to you because you're in some alcoholic haze or drinking haze, or whether you're going out to the bars every night with your friends, or whether you're drinking, you know, 5 bottles of vodka a night and absolutely cannot put dinner on the table, you are damaging your children, okay? And it was something that I really, really struggled with because, like I said, at the same time, I really wanted to believe that my mom was this good mom. And I got to the point that Joey is at in his video, okay? And I got to the point where I just believed nothing was ever gonna get better. She was never gonna get better. I just had to accept the fact that she was a drunk for life and that it would be my sole responsibility to take care of her. And in one hand, I would say, I'm not gonna do it anymore, I'm done, I'm not helping you. And you have to remember, this is also while I'm drinking and doing my stuff, right? And I would say, I'm done with you, I'm not taking care of you anymore, stop fucking calling me, blah, 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 whatever. And then the next moment, I would feel so guilt-ridden with it and so ashamed that I would like drive over there and do whatever she wanted me to do because I felt like I was being a bad son if I wasn't. And so it was really, really difficult. And the breaking point for me was when I got sober, and my counselor in the treatment program that I was at said, you cannot be around anybody that drinks or drugs because those people are damaging to you and you need to change your people, places, and things. And I said, okay, but what about my mom? And she goes, was your mom one of those people that drinks a lot around you and triggers you and things like that? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, then she's probably one of those people. And I was like, I can't tell my mom I can't see her, right? And I'll never forget sitting in my counselor's office, and I called my mom, and I said, Mom, I have something I need to talk to you about. And she said, okay. And I said, you know, I'm really trying to get help here. And she said, I'm so proud of you. And my mom, you know, she could shift in and out. She could be the parent that was so proud and so supportive. about my issues, but she could never see her own issues. And she was never willing to do anything about her issues, even though she drove around AA meetings, you know, for an hour without ever going in and all this kind of stuff. Read all the books, but it never, you know, sunk into her soul. And I said to her on the phone, I said, I can't see you anymore, Mom. And she said, until when? And I said, I can't see you until you get sober. And she said, you don't really mean that, do you? And I said, yeah, absolutely, I do. I've got to take care of myself, Mom. I've got to put myself first at this point. I deserve to have a life. And I can't have a life if I'm continuing to take care of you. And she was like heartbroken. She was bawling on the phone. And she said, you know, Peter, she goes, I never thought that we would get to this moment. I never thought we would get to this moment where you left me all by myself. And I still, in that moment, knew I was doing the right thing to protect myself. I felt so guilty, so ashamed that I was leaving my mom on my own, you know? I didn't see my mom for 6 months. I did not talk to her on the phone. I didn't see her. And 6 months later, I went to my cousin's wedding. And it was exactly 6 months to the date that I got sober. My mom was there, and she had gotten sober on June 2nd. And I would love to tell you that she got sober because of me. That's not the case. She got sober because my uncle had had a major heart attack, and she decided that if she was going to live the rest of her life another week, another year, another 10 years, another 20 years, she wanted to live her life sober, unmuted. And I just can remember that day, us like standing outside talking, and it just was amazing. And I got 13 amazing years with my mom before she passed away of sober living together, of being able to have the parent that was the mother, being able to have the parent that was adjusted and independent and an adult that I never would have had she not gotten sober. But the reason I tell this story is not so much because I think, you know, like there's something that you can force on somebody. The reason I tell this story is because I don't ever want somebody to give up hope. I have so many people that tell me, that's great that worked for your mom, but it will never happen for mine. My mom got sober at 51 years old. I was 22. I had totally given up on her at that point. I never thought she would get sober. And it was just absolutely this amazing moment. And, you know, even 6 months or a year after that, like, I was very, very careful. Like, after that, I told her, I said, you've been sober 2 weeks, okay? You know, you need to give me 3 to 6 months. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, you need to be sober 6 months. I'm like, I've got to take care of myself right now. You need to take care of yourself. We really didn't interact for that first year a whole lot together. But after that, where I knew I could see in her behaviors and her working a 12-step program and her getting a job and turning things around, like, I saw, okay, this is a mom that wants to be in my life. This is a mom that is demonstrating to me that she really cares about me enough to go get her shit together. Okay? And one of the things I've really struggled with for years, and a lot of people are going to come down hard on me for this, is if you can't get sober for your kids, what the fuck can you get sober for? Okay? I mean, get sober for your kids. Make a change for your kid. My God. What is more wonderful than bringing a child into this world and being able to have a positive relationship with them? And if you're a child, get sober for your parents, you know? Be unmuted. Allow yourself to have that most amazing, amazing relationship. I have worked with many, many resources throughout the years that have really, really helped me, and I just want to say a couple things that have helped and that I encourage other people to do. And if Joey's listening to this, God bless you, Joey. It's one of the hardest things in the entire life. The only thing I can offer you are some things that help for me. Setting consequences for any alcoholic or addict in our life, whether family members or friends, is extremely powerful. And sometimes that consequence has to be us not being in their lives. Sometimes they don't get how serious it is until we say, we won't be in your life until you get sober. And you have to mean it. You have to stick to it. Not take the calls, not see them, not send them money, no contact. And if that means that something happens to them that's tragic in the interim, you're not part of that, okay? But you have to set that consequence. Be willing to be an emotional support system for them if they do get sober and they do get better, you know? Encourage them that you'll help them all the way. But say, I have to see some period of sobriety. I have to see 6 months. I have to see a year where you're really, really doing something to change your life and saying indirectly, I want you to be part of my life. To think that we as children grow up in these environments and are not affected long-term in our other relationships, in our friendships, in our romantic relationships is just, it's buffoonery. We are absolutely 100% affected by all of these, in all of our relationships, in all of our interactions in the world by growing up as children of alcoholics. And as we become adults, adult children of alcoholics, those behaviors, those defense mechanisms, those safety procedures that we put into place come in the way of being defensive towards people, being guarded, being afraid to show our true selves. not allowing people in, always being, you know, on toes and being shy and being afraid to open ourselves to people, because those are all defense mechanisms to not really show our true selves to people. I encourage anybody out there that's a friend or a family member of alcoholics to seek out either, you know, there's some great support systems out there like Adult Children of Alcoholics, ACOA, 12-step programs like ALANON, which is a 12-step program for friends and family members of alcoholics and addicts. And what we'll teach you is how to take care of yourself, not how to fix the alcoholic. There are some amazing books out there. Codependent No More by Melody Beattie changed my life. It allowed me to let go of control and start taking care of myself and realizing that I deserve to be happy. I did. If any of you guys out there are going through something similar, please go watch Joey's video. It's extremely powerful. Give him some love and some support. Pat yourselves on the back. You'll get through this. It is difficult, but you will make it to the other side. Set boundaries and limits for the alcoholic in your life, and remember to love yourself. I love you guys. Please reach out and get some help from somebody. It is really, really a devastating disease that is taking over our country, and children are dying left and right because of neglect from it. Whether you're an adult child that's dying of neglect emotionally, or whether you're a young child that's dying of neglect physically. Either way, we're all dying inside because of alcoholics in our lives, and we don't deserve it, and it's time to change those things. For me, alcoholism is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I wouldn't be the person I am today, and I would never have had the relationship that I had with my mom if it weren't for alcoholism. At the same time, it brought the most havoc to my life. So I love you guys so much. I wish you the best, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.